Good afternoon, everybody. And I thought we would, it's a very hot one today. I hope everybody's staying cool out there, first of all. I'm taking a walk in the park after lunch here, so if I start roasting, just sign off and we'll forget this ever happened. But with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Please stay cool out there. Stay safe, everybody. I know there's a heat wave going through the U.S. right now, so if you guys are in the U.S., be careful out there. But I want to talk about TNXP or Tonix Pharmaceuticals, the most exciting stock. I think you guys love this stock the most. I know there's been some updates recently that we've made, and I just want to talk about some of the most recent things that have been happening. Now, they have been increasing their funding. We know there's been news about that, but of course, the most significant news is TNX 102SL. Now, I also want to give some updates in this video about how you, as an investor, can profit from potentially this upcoming move and the share price if things end up happening the way that we might expect. Now, when I say we expect, keep in mind there's a lot of uncertainties in the stock market. And as a disclaimer, I am not your financial advisor. I've previously worked with my Series 7 and 63 in the financial services industry. I have my degree in finance and I just got my MBA, but I'm not your financial advisor. So please, do your own research. Make sure you're understanding the risk for your own portfolio, your own risk tolerance and investing goals, and understanding and doing your own research. But with that being said, Tonix Pharmaceuticals has the TNX 102SL drug that is due, and it's coming due August 15th, which, if you remember when we talked about this stock at the beginning of the year, it was still a decent ways away. And I would say at this point, there's a lot of people who have moved on. And for those of you guys who are wondering, I personally do not own a position in TNX or Tonix Pharmaceuticals currently. And I just cover the stock because I've already made some money on the stock. I've moved on. I'm one of the people that believes that you shouldn't marry a stock. And I already made some money on the stock, so I'm pretty much done. When it did that initial 10X, I was able to take some profits on the way up. I didn't make a 10X myself. Some people I think did, but not myself. But when the stock was under 20 cents before the split, the equivalent of under 20 bucks a share now, I was able to take some profits when it went up, basically up to the equivalent of almost $200 a share, $1.94 or $194 after the split. So the point is, there is some good opportunity there, but I did not personally take that opportunity all the way to the top. And so if you remember that, it was very quick though, keep in mind, it was very quick. And sometimes you have a very small window of opportunity. So I was still able to make a profit, but at the same time, you might just want to remember that because sometimes your window of opportunity is like that. And I remember discussing this previously about how my return was, I was 6 cents away. I had my order to sell at $2 a share, and it would have paid off, basically everything. I would have been able to, put a bunch for retirement and pay off the mortgage and all that kind of stuff. And sure enough, it was 6 cents away, but I delayed a little bit too long, and just in the pre-market alone, that's what happened. So it was a very crazy event. But you can still potentially see something similar happening. And when I say that, remember that this is big news because Tonix Pharmaceuticals or TNX 102SL is the first fibromyalgia drug within 15 years. And this is on a global scale on a $3 to $5 billion market. And so when you're looking at a $3 to $5 billion fibromyalgia market, there's not really a drug out there like this right now. And so if the FDA approves this, and if this goes through on August 15th, you are likely expected to see a significant return in Tonix Pharmaceuticals share price. And with that being said, the share price for Tonix should do quite well if that should occur. And the reality is, guys, when it comes to investing in these types of stocks, these are outlier opportunities. And I just talked about on my other channel about how you have these specific opportunities in the market that might only last so long. They might last several months or several years, but you have the opportunity to buy the stock before these opportunities actually fully unfold. And so what I believe might happen with Tonix, and I could be wrong, is that we still see at least a 5X in the share price due to the fact that Tonix Pharmaceuticals has been, kind of trending sideways for right now. But if there's some really good news that comes out for their TNX 102SL with the FDA, which is expected by August 15th, 2025, which is not far away at all, by the way. It's only a few weeks away, hard to believe. But we are very close to the TNX 102SL decision. And so if that does happen, guys, we could see a very good increase in the share price. And this could be something that catches people off guard. I've seen this happen so many times in the market. And so if we do see something that catches individuals off guard, what does that mean? It means that there's parabolic potential. There's parabolic potential in any stock out there in the market, but specifically if buyers exceed sellers and there's no available supply, what happens to the share price? It has to go up, right? So it's all about supply and demand. And there's also short sellers. You know, these things can happen. So keep an eye on TNXP, Tonix Pharmaceuticals, as we approach this day. And I want to specifically talk about what you can do now as an investor, because first of all, take profits. If you're up big, you know, if you bought this under 20 cents or the equivalent of what would be $20 a share before the split, I would definitely recommend taking some profits initially for a 2x or 3x or 4x, whatever it is, if you haven't already. Remember, guys, this stock already did a 10x back when we talked about it on the channel in 2024. Around Christmas time, this thing shot up and went up basically 1,000%. So with that being said, there might not be another 1,000%. I could be totally wrong in saying this goes up another even 500%. So always remember that, and just remember to take profits, because if you're up 2 or 3x right now, this might be the opportunity that you're seeking. And maybe it's not, you know, quite a multi-billion-dollar market cap that you're seeking with TNXP or Tonix Pharmaceuticals. And perhaps you don't get quite the return that you were wanting, but at the same time, you still made some money and you don't have to marry the stock, right? So that's the first one. And I would say that's for individuals if you're more, you know, risk adverse. Now, some of you guys might be invested in other stocks. And I would say specifically, if you're one of these individuals, I would highly recommend diversifying your portfolio, because if you want to be more on the risk spectrum or even moderate risk to aggressive risk, I'd say there's 3 categories, right? You have your mild risk, you know, you got that what I just talked about, your moderate risk, which is kind of in the middle, and then you have your more aggressive type risk, which I would honestly, and I've talked about this on the channel and even my other channel, the Cash Flow Investor, because I have kind of a balance between the two. You know, growth and income is kind of my long-term goal, right? So when I talk about growth and income, what I'm discussing is, first of all, I have more of a tendency to favor income in the long term, no doubt. I mean, I want to focus on dividend stocks, and I'm focusing more on my smaller channel, the Cash Flow Investor, for that reason, right? And potentially real estate as well. But at the same time, I love the potential growth stocks, because those outlier opportunities like we're discussing right now, like Tonix Pharmaceuticals, even though they're higher on the risk spectrum or the risk curve, right? They still provide those amazing 10x, 20x, whatever it is, 5x opportunities in the market. And when you can get a couple of those on a good chunk or a good percentage of your portfolio, even if you're well diversified, 15, 20% of your portfolio goes up that much, you're still talking significant returns. And then you have to think about your tax vehicle. What are you invested in? Is it a Roth IRA? Is it a 401k? Is it something else? Because if you're not invested properly, that can be a significant damaging impact as well. So it's not just about what you're invested in, but also how you're invested. And especially with growth stocks, because one thing I got hit with back in 2021 when my tax returns got hit with multiple 6-figure payments. And I had, you know, in 2021 and 2022, both of them were 6-figure years in the stock market. And because of that, I had to pay the IRS back. And I'm less than $3,000 for my understanding right now, but still paying back that balance. And I've been doing so because I was on a payment plan and just kind of working it out so I could still invest in my 401k and continue to build wealth. But at the same time, you know, there's always going to be an opportunity out there. The question is, how are you taxed on it? And what are you actually invested in? What is the opportunity? Is it more for cash flow? Is it more for, I just made a video on the Cash Flow Investor, for example, about how those lower risk opportunities might be ideal, especially if you're going into retirement. Because who wants to take a bunch of risk when you're going into retirement? And that's what a lot of financial advisors will tell you is, why would you want to go into a lot of risk when you're trying to get the cash flow you need to retire on your portfolio of whatever it is. But if you're focused on growth, and for example, I'm 29 years old right now, I'll be 30 years old in September. So as of right now, I've just got my MBA. So I'm hoping to increase my income with the skill set and everything else. I'm hoping to get something better paying, higher than 70 or 80,000, whatever I'm making right now. I don't even know what it is exactly. But, the point is, if I'm making 150,000 a year, that's a lot better than 80,000. That's double the income. And my living expenses might not expand that much. And so that, gap in the income can be used for saving for example, my kids' college education. Or, if I don't feel like I have two boys, for example, maybe college is not the smartest idea with all this AI crap going on. Perhaps we should focus on more, blue collar skills and like real world economy. And that's what I argue is getting back in the trenches of the real world economy. Like first, generation restaurants and stores and everything is going to be huge. Relationship building in the local community is going to be huge in the future with all this AI stuff, right? So if you're looking to build businesses or looking to work for a local business, I think that's going to be massive going forward. That's just my personal opinion. But at the same time, you have to think about how your children could earn income, right? So you can think about if you're able to earn more income, what could you use it for? Could you use it for your family? If you don't have a family, could you use it for retirement? For me, I have to try to do both because, there's obviously, I'm the sole breadwinner of the family, right? So there's always going to be that dilemma. And you have to think about where you can allocate the resources the most effectively for that long-term goal, whatever it is. But with that being said, I do want to thank you all for tuning into this video. I do want to thank you all for, hope everyone is doing well out there. It's a hot one. Stay cool out there. I'm going to take a break under the shade tree. And with that being said, we will see you all in the next video. Peace and take care, everybody.